Okay, welcome everybody. This is the European Sustainability Week. A longer week by now. It's a few months by now. The title stayed the same. Yeah, we're here for the second time with procuRE, our project, and this time more specifically on solutions. Basically, 3 suppliers are with us who are going to present the way we will approach the buildings in our procuRE project. Hello, everybody. Please use your questions whenever you have questions. We will keep track on it and utilize it. The event is recorded. And let's have a look into the agenda. So, a welcome introduction. This already happened. And with the welcome introduction, I also would like to remind everybody of you why we started with procuRE. The attempt is basically, the green boxes are the same I have presented last year. The pink boxes are adding reasons why we need to act, why we need solutions. So we all know buildings are a major contributor to carbon utilized by any given country, region, or city. And we don't renovate enough, and we have workforce constraints, and these are macro level reasons why we need to change something. And on procureur levels, it is difficult for procurers. Yeah, simply the sector is so different. It's hard to transfer innovation from one direction to the other. And there are so many technologies, so for any given procureur to understand them is extremely difficult. And if they are to suddenly make buildings, not only use foam to insulate the buildings, but use other technologies and integrate renewables and storage and demand control and sensors and whatever not, it is simply overburdening and cannot happen. And this is something which might be changing now, God knows, but it is so that was so that investors to finance any complex project was only possible in the new build sector, but for renovations, as soon as you come with 2 devices which are supposed to interact with one another, they would rather say no, and you have to finance it directly by yourself, which obviously limits the overall number of buildings you can renovate. So on all of this, we need to act. And on top, we got new reasons in the meantime, is that the energy consumption costs exploded. It is partially a virtual problem, admittedly. We know the issue of gas plants and the merit curve, but higher prices, less supply of energy will result in higher prices for energy no matter what. So the ROI is shifting towards renovations, which might not be, which even in smaller degrees, even in buildings which are not the super large consumers of the 1950s and 60s, but also to buildings which are maybe newer. And the supply chains are less reliable, or rather finding enough materials, raw materials specifically, gets difficult. So maybe with less we can achieve more, which means that instead of insulating a building entirely with lots of materials, maybe we can use smarter, fewer materials, more intelligent materials, which will achieve what we want. Basically, buildings that are near carbon zero. Carbon zero in the sense that they produce enough electricity on site and to work. This is the summary of the project. 6 sites, 6 cities, 6 procurers in 6 countries, which have a huge building stock, which want to get away from carbon-based energy. And for this, one of the ways to go is to eliminate offset supply of energy in existing buildings. Basically renovate, but to also ensure that they not only consume less, but produce enough electricity and energy to run net zero. Yeah, we are spending money on it. It is an R&D project. The 3 suppliers will have later opportunity to present basically their approach to this solution, to this problem. Me again. a brief reminder on the challenge, basically to focus the discussion later, not to say that other things are not also important or that there are other ways, but our project, our approach is maybe a bit, it's not the mainstream right now, and hence to refine that. First things first, what it is not and what we will not do in this event is to talk about innovation procurement and pre-commercial procurement in general. The phases, the way that you get several suppliers in an early phase to give you advance the solution and to ultimately pick two to implement it. It is not the topic, but if you want to know, in the slides you will have links to watch earlier videos. What has been said then is still true. If you want to do innovation procurement, obviously you can always ask us and we can maybe give a hint or two. So what is this project about? What are the core challenges? Consider each following slide as a challenge, a broad challenge, and together they more or less represent procuRE. Obviously they interact and it's more complex, but to simplify in these images. So we want buildings which consume less, first of all. Yeah? If you can reduce the demand, then you need to produce less, and that's good. And for this to happen, one of the main sources of innovation and available technology is active management. For instance, if you have a large heat and cooling plant, if you properly manage it, you can most likely avoid all waste and inefficiencies and whatever not, and hence result in optimized operation. The image should also suggest a little bit more. The active management part is basically implying the ICT smartness behind it. Like the kit on the actually I don't know what it's called in English. I only know what it's called in German. It's embarrassing. Rack in German. That he has to balance all the time. He's using all his muscles all the time to stay stable. He gets only to the point once, and then he has to constantly adjust little micro adjustments everywhere to basically remain in a stable situation. And this is what we expect from a smart solution, that it balances the demand requirements, the production, which is fluctuating obviously because it's renewable. It is by nature, guided by nature, fluctuating, and the storage in between as a mediator to ensure that demand stays as low level as possible. Production is utilized to the maximum extent to achieve the long-term target of basically not consuming carbon in the first hour, in the second hour, in the third week, in the fourth month, and throughout the year. Already implied, the building itself should work on renewables, and the renewables should be produced on site. It is a requirement in that sense that the maximum what is going to be done into the building should happen on the building and with the building. Yeah, that if there's a potential of roof supply, there's a lot of surface on the roof, that it's utilized for PV, wind, and whatever technologies. And because it can happen at once, yeah, you go into the building, you do everything at once, and you don't have to go anywhere else. Obviously, some buildings have limits. It is simply not possible. So we say to the largest extent possible. Yeah, our ultimate goal is net zero. In some buildings, it is physically not possible, but we push the envelope as far as we can get. The background to this is also another that, I don't know, 10 years into the future, hopefully our governments keep their promises and say that renewables need to be extended. There will be a lot of PV plants on all kinds of buildings, and the grid will not have the same capacity to accommodate, take it away as so far. Which does not mean that we will not export energy into the grid if our storage is filled and whatever not. We will not become an island. That's not the goal. That's not the ambition. There will always be use for energy, and if energy is exported, then someone else will find a use for it. The third challenge is more procedural or organizational, in that the current way of renovating buildings takes no, the planning of it takes way too much time, is far too inefficient, and not accommodating the complexities I mentioned before. Yeah, more technologies, more things to be integrated, and so on. We need to reimagine and structure the way procurers and suppliers talk to one another. It should not be because of the complexities, it cannot be that every building is looked at anew, despite the fact that the same technologies are being utilized, for instance. But most of all, it's procedural that maybe suppliers take some responsibilities procurers had before, like preparing all the data, and that suppliers can work with less data but achieve the same results by simply relying on good experience and models they have created. Here, a lot of technological advancement has happened in the past 10 years, BIM, digital twins, all this stuff. It is simply opening many, many, many doors, and it cannot be that we still remain on paper in our heads. The process has to change. And with any new coming renovation, to happen many, and this is in the benefit of both the procurers and the suppliers. The procurers because they want buildings to be done, the suppliers because they want to renovate many buildings. It needs financing, and this world is also complex. A, funding schemes available. B, how to basically transition, how to utilize future savings into this financing element. ESCOs and so on, I guess, again, in the past 10 years, advanced rapidly. And these concepts of basically utilizing avoided cost of the future to spend today should be integrated into the approach and considered as such. Yeah, and all of this combined results in one renovation approach. Is basically that a company comes with, to use an analogy, just because it happened, the iPhone and the iPhone environment, and based on this, you can then build apps as any building, which have a specific and cover specific needs in the set environment, but they utilize certain things which are in the background. Yeah, any kind of access to information infrastructures, UI guidelines, all these things. It can be reused. It's easy. Yeah, it does not mean that this result is the same. No, but if you develop a concept on a higher level, then you can reapply certain things. It might also help to reduce stuff, to basically say we exclude certain options, or we that the procurers are not confronted with the challenge of basically saying, yeah, you showed us now 20 temperature sensors. We are not exactly sure which one. We pick randomly. No, that you say this is the best temperature for the system. It works. It operates with our smart engine in the background. They communicate with one another well. We don't make the choice, and the procurers put the trust in it that this is true and the best and financially viable option as well. Recycle is obviously extremely hard. This is not possible unless buildings are equal, yeah, or near equal. Then you can maybe go with the same stuff again. So this roughly what the challenge is about, what the three suppliers have been working on. They have provided us with an offer. The offer was the renovation approach, basically how they're going about. The three suppliers presented here are the three best and therefore chosen to basically conduct with us the next step. We have finalized the first phase. The first phase was to take the renovation approaches and look at the buildings and to make this application, yeah, this app for each building. Extremely challenging. In hindsight, we maybe made it a little bit too challenging. I even admit this publicly. Yeah, it is a research innovation project, research and development project. It's not without making mistakes, but we are proceeding and it's going very well. It is going very good. And today our suppliers will present you a little bit on how they're going about And I hope you are interested in the way they go about to follow us, to follow them. And at the end of this project, it will continue for another 1.5 years. The solution will be obviously naturally much more refined and ready to go for you to apply in your buildings. We are in the building sector. You need to think very far ahead. So good that you're here, good that you're looking, and good that you're seeing what the suppliers are offering. Paradise first, I would invite you to share your screen and basically take it away from me. I think this is the way it works. And Nerea, say a few words about yourself as well. Presents Paradise.
Can you see my screen? Okay. Well, I'm Nerea from Paradise Consortium. I'm from R2M Spain. And I'm going to present you the Paradise Consortium and the idea or the solution we envision to tackle the challenge that procuRE is proposing. Well, the consortium is composed by 5 Italian Spanish partners with different expertises, which help us to develop and work on the key points or key elements that we are proposing in our solution, that are mainly, well, these ones were 7 key points. The first one is a co-design that it's based on the BIM that works like the major enabler. Then BIM supported retrofitting process, which is an adaptation of an ISO standard, and it's a 3-phase retrofitting process named Inception, Design, and Production. The heat pump, that it's the core of our solution and the technical solution, and it's for integrating and the interoperability of the different renewable energy systems. PVT solutions that help us to combine in a unique panel the electrical and the thermal production. Then the deployment of a SCADA system for the BMS and then the EMS. The system modeling that help us to model all and virtualize all the real systems, so we can simulate their performance. And finally, the optimal operation control, that it's a combination of real-time optimization, MPC, and adaptive control. So to tackle the challenge, we created a framework that starts from a base structure of renewable energy systems that has a heat pump at its core, and it's also combined with other energy storages. We then virtualize the system, as I already told, and we use optimized control strategies to find the best combination for each specific site. This helps us to maximize the share of electrical and thermal energy, and also to do demand response based on advanced operational strategies. We rely on the smart management system, which is the SCADA. It's for the communication channel and interface for the different systems that are going to be integrated. And on top of it, we are working with an optimal control strategy to perform the optimal predictive control over those systems for production. The technical solution that we envisioned is based on a scheme that is proposed by the International Energy Agency in its task 60. And it's basically, it prints or defines the final energy, the useful energy, the sources, and the different elements that are going to be integrated, and in these boxes are highlighted depending on the solution that is proposed for each site. We work on a co-design procedure when we want to implement the design thinking methodology, which is a standardized methodology or process that help the designers, in our case, which we ourselves, Paradise Consortium, to understand the needs and the requirements of the users that may be procurers and users, building operators, and so on, and help us to prototype and retune or redefine the solution according to those needs and requirements. This is an iterative process, so we can work on it until we get the best combination. And all of it is always connected to the VIN I already talked. Regarding the financing models, we different two stages. The first one is during procure. It's supposed that the implementation of the solution is covered by the funding that it's available in the project, and the recurring operational maintenance and licensing fees will be covered by tailored business model that will be conform with the procurers together with procurers. And during this process, we will also validate other financing models for after procure, which are composed of three main points. The first one is the validation of innovative approach for financing renovation and operational maintenance. We are basing this on two European projects that are invest that develops and validates risk evaluation framework, and NEON that develops and validates also an innovative financing method. This will be linked and underpinned by the deployment of the digital logbook, which helps to reduce the connected risks and increases the confidence in the investors. And finally, we will implement the market and technology watch strategy that will help us to detect and analyze the public fundings that may give the procurers opportunities for energy renovations. This will be what we are proposing for this project and this particular challenge. I don't know if anyone has any question?
No. Yeah, you also used up your question time, so that's not an issue. Very good. Thank you very much, Anna. Just in general, a statement. Yeah, as you can see, the three suppliers are working basically on the solutions, and what you see is a snapshot of now. Yeah, I mean, this is something to always keep in mind, that we are yeah, in a research project, and whatever you see, don't expect it to be exactly like that in the future. Right? It's just a disclaimer I'm saying on behalf of the suppliers. But you said back then, no, at the end of the project, there will be results, there will be a renovation approach to the extent it goes public, the suppliers decide, and hopefully a very good product. I should have said this before. I don't say it's in direct reply to an idea, but in principle. Javier, I think you're next. So if you take the screen, then you can present.
Okay, good morning. Can you see and hear me?
I can hear you, but not see yet.
Okay, is it working now?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, cool. So good morning. This is Javier Rai from EUSEW Consortium. Thanks procuRE and Verica for providing us this opportunity. So SEBR stands for Smart Energy Building Renovation, and that's exactly what we do. We do energy upgrade of buildings. And what's our methodology? We analyze the buildings considering users' needs first and make a proposal based on renewable energy harvesting and reducing the energy demand. This proposal is then negotiated with the buyers and then executed, providing best value for money. We like to call it a win-win. To achieve this net zero energy buildings, the technologies we use are solar panels, photovoltaic glass, batteries, heat ventilation, air condition, smart heaters, electric chargers, domestic hot water harvesting and monitoring, hydrogen seasonal storage, LEDs, wind harvesting, thermal and acoustic isolation, dynamic facades, interior air quality measurement and air purification, solar thermal collectors for floor heating. And all these technologies are monitored and integrated in a real-time SaaS platform. It's a really very powerful tool where the facility managers and users get at a glance what's happening in the building. So you can parameterize all the main setting points, whether it's temperature, and measure all the parameters to make some settings and see how the building reacts. It's not just a passive system, it's active because it takes into account weather forecasts and reacts accordingly. The solution we provide are state-of-the-art technology tailored to each building's needs, modular, scalable, and flexible. A very interesting feature of our consortia is that we raise awareness of users and provide easy-to-follow tips to achieve savings by making small changes in our daily behaviors. As we know for a fact, users play a key role in achieving savings. The applications go from schools to offices and of course also to any kind of other buildings, whether it's hospitals, hotels, private households, libraries, shopping malls, sports centers, etc. The funding is discussed, and in each case, whether it's private, public, or crowdfunding. So this is talked about and discussed in each particular case. And that's all for you from my side. Thanks for your time, and we are open to any questions and doubts you might have. Thanks.
Kirak, you're muted.
Apologies as a presenter. Yeah, very good. Thank you, Javi. Just one small, I know the answer, but just a small clarifying question for the audience. The technologies you presented, will they be all used in all buildings?
Yes, of course, each building is tailored, and so we discuss and we go through during the co-design process, we decide with each buyer which technology is best to use in each building.
Exactly. So what you present is the renovation approach, and you see already there by choice, depending on the building, you get a renovation package which is specific to any given building. Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Good. Are there any other questions? No. Then I invite Juan from Clarity to present.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. Can you see my screen? Yes. So
Yes.
thank you so much. I'm Juan Ochagavia, representing CENER in this consortium called Clarity. Clarity is the name of the consortium, composed by CENER, Eurecat, and AGT, 3 companies that we are in the same travel for this nice process. Thank you to everybody for the attendance, and thank you for procuRE to give us the opportunity. And our proposal is basically a unique platform called Clarity. Why a platform? Because we are finding the best solution, but replicable in all buildings. Probably a platform, a digital platform, is the best way to find this replicability for all procurers or customers. So the platform is divided in 3 stages: the procurer or designing of the renovation approach, the contractor supplier, and the operation phase. 5 blocks for 5 tasks, very clear: assessment of the building, renovation, the RES calculation, renewable energy system calculation, feasibility report block, designing and construction phase, and operation and maintenance phase. These 5 blocks are barely the main task we have in the process, and I'll try to explain a little bit most of them. All of them will be introduced, implying the platform to do it automatically to an application that I will try to show in the next slides. An assessment of the building, most of the times is required. We can do a very good approach without an energy model, but in most of the cases we need to have an energy model of the building in order to have energy simulations for applying the upgrades or the generation energy assets that we can apply. The second block is probably one of the 2 most important blocks in this proposal, which is the calculation of what's the best for the building, what generation energy assets you need, and what the strategies what upgrades in your installation and your facilities you need in order to get the best solution. After these 2 phases, you will receive a feasibility report as a customer, where you can decide going or not with this solution, or having another cycle to find a better solution. This feasibility report will introduce all the parameters that you have at your site. Not only the best design we can find, also related with your regulations, your political grant in your place, etc. After having a good solution of the renovation approach, we enter in a traditional stage of designing and construction, designing phase and construction phase. The platform in this case is going to be like a document controller, document platform, trying to be, of course, combined with the BIM solution, with the BIM designing. But we can jump to the 3rd stage, which is the second most important, or one of the 2 most important parts of the proposal, which is the operation and maintenance phase, where we can introduce all the tools that we have already developed in the market, like the EMS, Energy Management System, which is the tool that is not going to design, because we are going to design the renovation here, but it's going to manage the generation of the green energy that we are introducing with the storages that we are introducing as well, and mixing it with the forecast prediction and the price energy markets in that moment. We have done this before in buildings and industrial installations, and we are getting very good results. Same with Respira, for example, which is an HVAC algorithm. It's an intelligent algorithm to introduce to the HVAC system. We are having very good results also in the installation we are applying it. with savings up to 25% of the energy consumption. That's I will explain after this, but that's an algorithm that it's trained apart from the system. It let us introduce all the parameters of the buildings, all the occupants preferences, all the occupancy, the schedule of the occupancy, and etc. And it let us have a very good manage of the HVAC system, and also provides a much better quality of the air, which is very important in this time. Also introduce here a dynamic management and operation management program, which is a GMOA link to the BIM model, which let us have the alarms of the buildings for management in a very easy way. And all of this is under the umbrella of a training program. In the first stage, which is the designing of the renovation approach, we have a platform procuRE assistant, because we are thinking that every customer, every procuRE can handle this by itself. We are programming the platform as easy as possible to be handled by a non-technical person, and that's the platform procuRE assistant. Also, we have a professional training for this stage, for the operation management stage, and an occupants education program, just to make it easier for the users, what decisions they can do in order to reduce consume and optimize the system. Okay. We will go in deeper into these first blocks. Yes, as I said, we want to calculate the best solution with the, as Her said very well, the maximum generation and the minimal consumption, which is probably the most important in this, or the thing. I mean, the most difficult problem we have in this process. Okay, my consumption requires most of the time simulations, energy simulations. We will see that. For maximizing generation, we are just finding the best solutions, but the most replicable solution for all buildings. Of course, we can introduce new technologies in every building, depends on the site, but basically what we are offering is a PV panel deployment. Also, we are counting with a small micro-wind technology in some places, could be fit. And also we are, as I said, counting with other different technologies, but it depends on the place. The platform and the scheme is done plug and play. So if we introduce new technology, we just need to know the power, the frequency, and some parameters, simple parameters to introduce into the optimization tool that we have. It's called DAE, which is the one who dimension the energy assets. Also, we are we are counting with electric batteries or an H2 storage for the building. In some cases, it could fit in buildings, in large buildings, it could fit. And the other part is minimize consumption. Of course, we are counting with that. We are introducing different upgrades for the systems, for the facilities of the buildings, the main consumers, the HVAC and domestic hot water systems, and of course lighting systems, in order to reduce consumption and have different consumption curves every hour in order to mix them with the batteries and the generation that we are proposing. And a short view of the platform we are programming. So clarity, it could be something like this, like an application. You can sign in, and you find 3 simple modules: assessment and risk calculation, designing and construction, and operation and management. As we said at the beginning, the assessment and risk calculation, we can divide it in 2 modules: quick insights. With a couple of parameters, we can have a very good approach of your renovation. Just knowing your consumption curve every hour in the year, and the surface of your roof, we can make a very, very close approach of your of the solution. Simple screens like what technologies do you want to use, you want to apply. Of course, we have a pre-configured solution which is called our solution, the one I explained, based on PVs, microwind, and storage. But if you want to try with another technology, we can handle it. It will be a dialogue between the procuRE and the engineering company, and also a very simple tool to mark your roof, just to find the best in an easy way to configure your building easily. And then simple parameters as a summary: your percentage of self-consumption, annual savings, payback period, your carbon emission reductions, something really graphical in a quick insight view. Of course, if we want to go deeper, we would need to have more information. We would have to do the energy model, to have simulations. We want to upgrade your HVAC systems or the main consumers of the buildings. We have to have these simulations in order to create new consumption curves. And the program will be updated for that. It's harder to find with more screens, but we will find the solution. Just the deeper definition of the main solution we give at the beginning. I would like to give you some examples, but I think overpass the time. But just a quick the optimization tool that we have could lead us to find a solution based on, for example, deployment of PV and energy battery, giving us the energy saving percentage under a capex. We always fix the capex at first, and then we find the best combinations, select the combination that fit the best. And that's what our tool does. We can have another examples with different combinations: PV deployment, but plus a battery, with heat pumps, renewable upgrades, and ventilation with heat recovery. For example, to get the best energy saving, we could have more energy savings, but under a larger capex. So we establish the limit and the ceiling capex, and we select the best combination.
Okay.
Yes, I think we talk about the EMS during the operation management system and the Respira system. Of course, I'm open to all the questions you can have, and thank you very much for your time.
Very good. Thank you, Juan. Very detailed. I present again briefly. Give me 1 second. It's not there. Range. Yeah, let me just quickly skip. So, yeah, thank you very much to all the suppliers. It is extremely exciting. I know from the Procurers, we talk a lot about it, and a lot of fun. Just yeah, it's obviously under the question of the suppliers to share how much they want to share here. So I don't consider detail not presented not being existent. Let's say this to the audience. Yeah, and they ultimately share the same challenge to kind of design 6 buildings in parallel. And this brings the efficiency pressure basically of finding a way of doing as much as possible in one way, and then taking from it and utilizing it again. So this was very informative. Thank you very much. It was very good. Neda and Javi, I will give you a bit more time during the panel if there are questions. And I would invite our panelists, the 2 panelists from the cities, to join us. Nico is already joined. You can see him. And with us today as well is Güliş from the municipality of Antalya. And Victor, on short notice, had to cancel, as I understand, right? He's, yeah, I just got the chat before. Sorry for that. That's so we have one procurer, the lead procurer, the lead procurer, the one who basically tendered in behalf of all the 6 cities. Nico Natek with us, and Güliş Yanan, who is a follower, representing a follower city, a city which is interested in the procure results, of which there are quite a few, and hopefully soon even more. But if you are interested in that, always let us know, and we will invite you to a list. There are occasional meetings where you get a bit more detail and more exchange from the procurers. Yeah, I would ask give the first hand question to the new guest, to Güliş. So basically, my question to you, I hope, yeah, you can open your mic whenever you wish, is that inform us, what are the ambitions, the net zero ambitions, the carbon emissions, the energy efficiency ambitions, whatever name is being used right now, the terms change as we know. What are your ambitions in your city, in your region?
Thank you for the question. Hello, everyone. I am the Antalya Metropolitan Municipality European Relations and Projects Director, Güliş Yaman. I am also the Antalya coordinator of a Horizon 2020 project called Matchup, which is similar to procuRE project. I will try to answer your questions as a non-technical person in a webinar involving such technical topics. I'm sorry for that, first of all. If we back to the question, thank you. If we back to the question, in order to help reduce the effects of this sector on global climate change, various activities are put forward in the province of Antalya. These activities include municipal buildings, non-residential buildings, and residential buildings. I can say that in order to increase the quality of our urban living spaces, the goal of using renewable energies resources and technological lighting elements in buildings and facilities under the responsibility of the municipality is to part in the 2022 and 24 strategic plan of the municipality. Now, I want to talk about what actions we have taken towards this goal within the scope of the Matchup project. Matchup project, I said, is a European-funded smart city project with 28 partners, which involves 3 lighthouse cities. These are Valencia, Dresden, and Antalya, and 4 follower cities. With the Matchup project, we are making some innovations in our municipality building with the aim of reaching net zero. Currently, this public building is one of the eco-friendly and energy-efficient buildings in Antalya. Antalya Metropolitan Municipality Building is a 4-story building with a total condition area of 25,000 square meters. And the building was built in 2017 and has an energy rating of C, actually. But with the Matchup project, PV system with storage was integrated the municipality building's roof, and smartening systems continue to be installed. Thanks to the interventions, lighting and other electricity consumption has also decreased. The municipality building is also the first public building to store the electricity produced by the PV system in Turkey. With the storage system, carbon emissions are prevented by charging e-vehicles. The excess of the stored energy is used for building needs or given to the grid. The energy produced and consumed can be seen with smart sensors, and the energy quality can be analyzed. Almost 90% of installations for smart systems are completed. Also, on the scope of the project, urban data platform have been installed for monitoring too. We can monitor the PV system and all consumption data. In the coming periods, all data that can be shared via the open data portal will be made available to the citizens too. The energy level of our municipality building will increase to B energy level thanks to these Matchup actions. Thank you.
Thank you. Good to hear that yeah, smart solutions are also being applied elsewhere. And yeah, Nico, you're the lead procurer. You're the one who was willing to do a PCP innovation action, which is already challenging. And yeah, you're one of the procurers in the project. What's your view in the past few months?
So hello to everyone, and welcome. We're very excited to have been provided with this platform within the European Sustainable Energy Week to be able to organize today's event. And thank you very much for your time in joining us. Well, I started my professional journey in power plants, so I got a close view of how the system functions. Hydropower plants, energy junctions, thermal power plants, and so on. And I really got a grasp of the complexity of it all. So what I guess our society takes for granted is not really that straightforward to count on. It's a highly complex system. It's the eighth wonder of the world. Things can go sideways, and that leaves us well, very vulnerable actually as a society. And I realized pretty soon that it's resilience and diversification are something that we should build our future upon, especially given the fact that the fossil fuels, depending on which energy source we're looking at, only has 1 or 2 generations left. And I would commend the courage of the European Union that decided to really focus on the issue, to spearhead the way into net zero. We basically we are facing, perhaps, I think, in my opinion, the largest challenge of our generation post World War II. I think it will take everything that we got as a society, as a people, to overcome it. Now, after COVID, we are faced with the Ukrainian crisis, and this is the first-person view of what it means to be scarce in energy. Energy is the main story, I believe. Energy is the master resource. Without stable and cost-effective energy, there is no economy, there is no social cohesion, there is no future. This is why we decided to join the initiative of procuRE. We didn't really have any prior experience with pre-commercial procurement as it is, so it was kind of a risk we were willing to take. But we did come from the viewpoint of energy renovation. So that was my next step in my professional career, energy renovation of buildings. A lot of hope was put into EPC and ESC funding mechanisms. And on paper, it worked great, and expectations from our side were really high. But after 10 years experience with the model, we learned that basically, if it's only profit driven, if that's the main motive for the ESCO companies to join, well, what usually happens is that without really good oversight, the renovation measures that are most economically effective, only from the prism of the euro or dollar or whatever, that is taken into account. Which means basically that deep renovation was discarded oftentimes. Even though that perhaps looking at wider benefits, that would be the logical step, ESCO companies just decided to take the low-hanging fruit, if you will. So usually this was the changing of the heating system, perhaps the changing of windows and the lighting system. Thermal envelope, for example, that was something that they usually shied away from, because before the Ukrainian crisis, at least for our example, the energy was really cheap, and there was no way to make an effective economic argument. And we see procuRE as the next step. So we all know that buildings are responsible for 40% of the energy used, and we all know that moving away from baseload power, such as we have become accustomed to, will take, unprecedented investment into energy storage and the grid. The grid was never meant to work like this, and this is a big problem. So producing the energy on site and meeting the supply-demand dynamics, I think that's the main story. And I think that this is the main innovation of procuRE, is how to integrate independent energy supply into the energy renovation. So on the one side, we are providing a whole package. Our suppliers have really come up with some interesting solutions that will be implemented in the next year, and this is the evolution of the EPC ESCO model of what it promised, and I believe we have something really valuable here. So we're very excited about this project. It will provide something tangible. It will provide the evidence that we can, in fact, do it. As Angela Merkel put it many years before. So I think it's important. I think it's critical, if ever, then the move towards energy self-sufficiency, moving the energy transition along more swiftly. This is, from my perspective, it's now or never. So this is why we are here, and we are very fortunate to have such a team with very high level of expertise joining our ambition. Yeah.
Thank you, Nico. Very good. I will pick up on the issue of the topic of innovation and direct a question to the suppliers. I mean, innovation in many fields is often incremental and just sometimes feels big. Yeah. Again, I use the same example, although I don't use it. The Apple iPhone. Yeah. The innovation there is it's incremental. It just feels amazingly great. Yeah? If you are expert in a field, then you often discard something as incremental, although it's still an innovation because it integrates stuff. So in our project, to be clear, we are not looking into a big technological innovation such as off-site refab panels being deployed to a building within a week and then the building being insulated and so on. That's another different challenge. That's another approach, basically the passive approach you can take. We are here more focusing on technologies which exist and are simply utilized in the renovation market, which maybe have been limited in the new build market and maybe has been limited to very large buildings and not to small buildings, or simply disregarded altogether for on-site use. In any case, in the same order as prior to the suppliers, yeah, what do you think? What is the innovation you think you're bringing, or the most important one? Yeah, because there are many, but the most important one for you, Javier.
Yes. Hi. Just a few comments before I answer your question to Nico. Thanks for your insight. It's very interesting. And finally, looks like Europe has got taken responsibility and taken action by putting the money on the table and taking some active policies regarding climate change. But what I'm really concerned is because China and the US are the major contributors to the global change and climate change, sorry. And I'm a little concerned that I don't think they are really taking action and looking forward to join Europe in this cause. Because China is the major contributor. Just a few years ago, Donald Trump was the president, and he was denying the climate change. So the question for me remains as, are we still on time to revert this? And the second comment to you, George, was, the renovation from our side is to be able to integrate, because there are many technologies already available on the table. And at least from our side, what we're providing is the capacity to join them, put them together in the same platform so they interact. It's not just one thing, one device that is acting on its own, but all the devices, all the domotic devices, lighting, heating, ventilation, air condition, exterior, and so on, are able to interact between themselves to generate a greater effect than if they were acting alone on their own. So that's where we actually bring the magic.
Lydia? Lydia, you're struggling? Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't unmute. Sorry, can you repeat it?
You think the innovation you think is you're looking most forward to bring to the buildings or to the renovation approach?
What's the innovation from Paradise, you mean?
Yes, exactly.
Well, we are relying on the key points that I mentioned previously on the presentation. We are basically relying on the BIM as the major enabler that will help us to keep all the data from all the different stages of the retrofitting process as a main repository. Of course, we also rely on the way, this BIM can be tuned for different, with different interfaces for different users with access for different type of data. And the heat pump of that is the core of our technical solution for as the main energy transformation. And of course, the PVT solutions that are, in our case, we have a partner that is working on them as a manufacturer that help us to combine, as I said, this technical and electrical and thermal production, to increasing the efficiency of this type of systems. And of course, we think that the optimization, the optimal operation control that we are proposing will help us to provide the best control, maximizing the system efficiency. And all that what we are proposing, it's in open source and a flexible IT platform that help us to integrate all these systems. I think these components give us the opportunity to provide innovative technologies and also, as I mentioned during the presentation, some tailored business models.
Yep, I hear once again integration is the key word. Yeah. One.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I think our main innovation is based on make the whole process simple. Make it simple. We come from different areas like power plants, solar thermal plants, for example, where we create the EMS, the energy management system. We found that this is really important, how to handle the energy, how we store it, the energy, how we handle it with the weather forecast, with the price market, energy price market prices. And yes, after this experience and after having Respira, the other technology we are implementing in buildings such as airports or train station or offices, we are finding that if we create this kind of intelligent tools that interact with predictions, weather predictions, occupancies, we really found the energy savings. And after that, we were thinking in putting everything together, not only operation and management, all the operation management tools that we have, also taking the advantage that for having these systems, we needed to design the energy assets. So after procuRE came to us, we said, okay, we need to put everything together to make it simple, because your targets are very clear. Be able to replicate this as quick as possible, because this is really challenging, and we need to be very quick for this target. So the platform to put all the technologies together and all of the tools that we have together, it's our innovation. And there is innovation in each tool, of course, but the innovation, I would say, is to make it simple.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, it was the final and the first and the last words from you, but you still used integrate quite a bit in the middle. Yeah, but I would in principle agree. I don't know, Nico, you can also comment in this integration. It is making it simpler for everybody, because if it's not, it takes time, and this means it's expensive, and this means you do less. This means we have more carbon and blah, blah, blah. So no, I agree. We still, at the next European Sustainability Week, I promise you, we will have a very good graphic from each side, from each supplier, to basically summarize this. We recognize that it's very difficult. It's much harder than to pretend. I'm sorry, I'm in the mood. What Apple did is basically that the camera notch, you can't see it probably because of the filter thing, that the camera notch, making it a little bit wide and putting a bit of light behind it, is super innovative, and lots of people don't sleep for nights to see that. That's ridiculous, yeah? What you're doing is much more complex, much more intelligent, and much more innovative than whatever Silicon Valley did to make this smart. Sorry, this was my little reward. Okay, Kilish, I have one question slightly in this direction. Basically, if you want to renovate buildings, yeah, what's your main challenge? What are you struggling with? And if you imagine, now we don't only want to do one building and match up in the match up project, but 10 buildings, where would you struggle?
Yes, actually, I have to say that in our country, municipalities does not have a duty to renovate residential buildings, but they have duties to monitor and control the process. Also, in the building sector, there are many national strategic plans and regulations, like the National Energy Efficiency Action Plan and the Turkish Energy Efficiency Law, etc. Being subject to these regulations makes the process more difficult as well as encouraging. Especially in residential buildings, the fact that the owners cannot make a joint decision also puts a barrier for the owners who want renovations. Even so, in the matchup project, we carry out a real pilot transformation in the energy sector with smart solutions for the integration of flats. It has been constructed Class B energy performance buildings in 8 residential buildings, which will include 500 flats in Kepez districts. I should mention that in the Turkish standards, residences have an energy rating of C level. This urban transformation is not carried out by the municipality, but the municipality fulfills its duty as a controller that I said before. But the action on the scope of the MECHA project involves the introduction of new technologies to flats and residents, such as smart calorimeters, smart control sensors like humidity, heat, water leakage, and smart control domotics like home alarm, movement sensors, smart lighting, smart switches. These smart systems have been installed in 500 flats. An application have also been installed on smartphones of the residents. Now they can control their energy consumption and other data. This pilot area will result in energy savings and carbon dioxide emission reductions and be a model for other institutions. But the most important issue that we have difficulty in this process is public participation.
When you come to residential buildings, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we have not yet entered this realm through procuRE. Ultimately, this may be possible. We are in schools and offices. But yes, Nico, what do you imagine if you have to do 10 schools next year? Where would you struggle?
Well, next year would be the same as the past decade, I guess. So we've been at it a long time. A lot of resources was invested, but you know, looking at it in hindsight, what the majority of cases actually look like, well, it was styrofoam, it was air-to-water heat pump, which is basically a reversed engineer refrigerator, and then it was LEDs. And that's like 90% of the energy renovations were carried out, even with the cohesion funds. So can we do better? Definitely. And this, I completely agree with Kwan. You have to know your customer. And this is why, you know, it's relevant for the procurement process to be straightforward to the buyer, which is, in our case, the local authority. And they have to get behind it. They have to understand it. And in the end, the technology has to work, you know, the system. So I would say next year we are still in trouble, but hopefully after our success in the 6 demonstration sites, one of them being in Vinska Gora, you can then use that as a case study to, if not anything else, we can host them there, we can invite them and say, look, it works. You can do it. You just have to, you know, be a bit brave, and let's use the exactly as the same approach, and you will be happy you did it. So it will make our job a whole lot easier, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Nico. As a note, yeah, basically you lined out what the next steps are. Yes, we are in the development phase now. The suppliers are basically, and this will be my question to you, kind of what are you looking forward for the next 7 months? It is phase 2 of basically developing the solution, developing the complete renovation package for each of the buildings before those will be chosen for phase 3 to implement it. So yeah, this will be my question. And yeah, ultimately, you also said the outlook. This will be then phase 3 activity mostly, but still something to keep in mind. Yes, obviously, we don't only want to end with this project. Yeah, many Horizon projects are like that, that they demonstrate the case, they demonstrate the solution. Here, it is the pathway to marketization. I mean, that's why it is not only a grant, it is a tender. It is more intense, but also more voluminous. And yeah, we hope that at the end of it, there are ways to do many buildings at once. And the interest is clearly there. The interest is clearly there. So to the suppliers, to repeat my question, yeah, what are you looking forward for the next few months? Let us know that we also know. Next week, we will also see each other, I believe, at the consortium meeting. And let's do it in reverse order. First Juan, then Nera, then Javi. Juan.
Okay. Yes. For next 2 months, we just realized that we have a tight agenda again, like during phase 1, and yes, we are really put all the effort in the digital platform. We need to test. I mean, this is the main objective of phase 2, but we need to test all the things we need to select to make it simple. All the things that we think are more effective in order to get the numbers we are offering. I mean, at the same time, we are developing the detailed engineering for the 6 locations, for the 6 sites. But I think the most important part now is to implement the digital tool, and because it's the thing what's going to give us this replicability and this credibility that we want to offer. And yes, it's a work that we need to find all the cases, all the we want to do a tailor, absolutely bespoke renovation for every building, but we need to set up a methodology in order to have a model, just to be as quicker as possible, not starting the whole process with any building from the beginning. So this is the thing we need to work out now, and that's what we'll do.
You're looking forward to the work. That's good. I would say one thing. You already presented a renovation approach. You're optimizing it now, so it's not like you're just starting. I say this to the audience, not to you. I know that you know it, I know it, but to everybody, you're pushing the envelope further and further. That's what's happening. I fully agree with that. Miria, sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Well, in our case, we want to, together with the procurers, go further in the technical solution that was proposed for the phase 1. And in this case, we want also to start working on the BIM models, at least it's where all our work is going to be based mainly. We want to propose also more specifics about the technical solution based on the HVAC and on the production systems, detailed location, spaces, brands, so on. And we want to verify virtually and validate what we are proposing, at least virtually, based on the BIM that we are constructing. And regarding the BMS, we want to provide some mock-ups of the solution for each site.
Yeah.
That would be the plan for the next months.
Yeah. I didn't want to, yeah. You're looking forward to the work. I say the same as with Juan. Yeah, perfect. It's yeah. Javi?
Yes, this week we had 6 meetings with the procurers of the cities, and we have very valuable feedback and insights. That's really very interesting for us. We learn from them, and we try to improve from their feedback. And so we're looking forward to move to the next stage and learning from this process. So what we're doing now is to select for each city which is the most which is the technical solution mostly that will provide the best benefits for the value of money. And we're really excited to work and move forward to the next stages. And yeah, that's it.
Same again, looking forward to the work, but you mentioned the meeting with the Procurers. Yeah, this should be said maybe for the audience again. Continuously the co-design procedure is happening. So basically the three here, or rather the team represented, is meeting up with the 6 Procurers regularly. And then we have these loops also with everybody together. It is, it's complex. A bit more complex than other PCPs, I believe, in that each building is individual and the solution is very unique there. So the renovation package is sort of unique. And obviously the results of the suppliers have long-term impact because the buildings will stay there. They will have to run for a long time. It's not only trialing something. But there is also this element of the overall approach, overall solution, EMS and everything, that irrespective of whatever happens, including the co-design procedure, these are results which will live and long after procuRE and even the buildings which are there. Yeah, that sounds good. I'm really looking forward through phase 1. We kind of aligned. We found you, first of all. We understand you better now. You understand us better, I think. It's extremely complex. It's extremely complex. And as I said initially, we are slightly off the mainstream. I mean, the mainstream is, Nico gave one example, the doing just a little bit and only the cost, only a little bit of demand reduction if you want. Then there's the on top thinking, just putting solar on the roof to feed the grid, which will run us into trouble. I think we all agree. And the other approach, obviously, I mean, maybe you know, maybe you don't, but this is the big push to serial renovations, basically using the foam in a modern way to many more buildings, which is justified. In some buildings, you can do as much solar on top as you want. You will never cover the demand, but there are many more and in a growing number of buildings where this will not be feasible. And we need something in between. And this is what it's about, procuRE. What it's about to do a lot at a short note, in short time, and to those buildings which have a lot of consumption combined together, but will never be worthwhile to do extreme measures on an envelope. Yeah, I would wrap it up. It's just on time. So thank you very much. Thank you for everybody. I hope it was insightful. It was definitely for me. Yeah, and it's most likely see you next year. Have a good day. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.